What's up, Packer fans? Happy game day. Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. We've got Packers Ravens. Should be a fantastic game in Baltimore. Baltimore is a team, as I mentioned yesterday, that just finds a way to win games. I don't think they are a super talented team, even when totally healthy, but this is just a team that plays good complementary football and, again, knows how to find a way to win games at the end of the day. John Harbaugh has his team playing well and is very well coached, and this is going to be a challenge, especially playing at their place. And the Ravens have a ton to play for, whether it's the AFC North, whether it's playoff seeding, just to get in the playoffs. They are going to have to fight through everything that they're currently going through with injuries and COVID and everything else, just to even get in the playoffs. So this is a major game for Baltimore. And of course, from a playoff seeding standpoint, it is massively important for Green Bay as well. So let's get into some news and notes from Saturday. First of all, kind of the bigger piece of news is Green Bay did bring up Sean Davis from the practice squad to the active roster. Now, this could mean one of two things, although I think one is clearly more likely than the other. The first and the most likely is that Sean Davis has the ability to be an impact player on special teams. And maybe that's a bit much, but at least somebody who is going to, really participate in and be active on special teams. And I think that's by far the most likely scenario of the two. The other, which isn't completely out of the realm of possibility, is that he could be used in that Henry Black role. Listen, Henry Black has not been great as of late. Teams have been really working him on those angle routes with running backs and receivers out of the backfield. They could go in a different direction. Vernon Scott has not received a look yet this season, but I don't think he's necessarily the answer from a coverage standpoint either. So they could go with somebody a bit more athletic in a Sean Davis, but my guess is that move is to shore up the special teams and give them another player who could be a impact sort of player on teams. And we sort of got a hint of this earlier this week. Mo Drayton and Matt LaFleur have kind of mentioned that they've got, some players in mind that could potentially help them in special teams with them active, not just, bringing him up from the, as a game day active, but actually activating him and moving him onto the 53-man roster. I have to believe that they see something in him from a special team standpoint and hope that they can help that unit out. We shall see. It'll be one of the maybe more minor things to keep an eye on during the game, but I am intrigued to see how they will use Sean Davis, but likely somehow in a special teams capacity. All right, they also made two other moves, bringing two players up from the practice squad as game day actives. Abdullah Anderson and Cole Van Lanen, both activated for the game. Cole Van Lanen, of course, Bayport graduate. Great story. Could get his first snaps. They may come even just on like field goal or extra point, unit or something, but could receive his first NFL snaps, which would be quite the story in and of itself. And then Abdullah Anderson certainly going to help out that defensive line with Kenny Clark being out for this game. So all very, predictable is the wrong word, but understandable moves, right? They want to shore up the defensive line with Kenny Clark out. They didn't have an eighth offensive lineman, so Cole Van Lanen was also very likely to be moved up from the practice squad this week. And then again, trying to shore up the special teams is likely what that Sean Davis move was all about. Meanwhile, I still think the biggest storyline here is the health of Lamar Jackson. As of Saturday night, as I'm recording this, still no updates on Lamar's health. Again, we probably will not know until game day. Every once in a while, Rappaport and Schefter have some breaking news on Saturday night. If I had to guess, and again, this is, recorded at about 6:30 p.m. I got a Christmas party tonight, so hopefully I'm not too hungover as you're listening to this. As I'm recording this, no updates yet. But again, Schefter or Rappaport sometimes will report at night that, a player is out or plans to play. My guess is that their report's going to be that this is going to be a game time decision. I don't think Baltimore wants Green Bay to know whether Lamar is going to play or not. I think they're going to try to get him to play if at all possible. But again, not practicing Friday, usually a tell, but we shall see. And either way, again, I think this is going to be a tough game for Green Bay. All right, let's jump into, I don't think I've done this in a while actually, but let's jump into my 12 keys to this game. Number one, no sugarcoating it, is the health of Lamar Jackson, right? There is a massive difference if this is a fully healthy, fully operational Lamar Jackson, former MVP. I know he's not quite there this season as to how he's played, but I still think that he presents the biggest threat to Green Bay losing this game. Lamar Jackson has the ability to take over a game at any given point, and if he's healthy and he's ready to go, that changes this game entirely. If it's Huntley and they don't have Lamar Jackson, again, that swings things massively in Green Bay's favor. Or if Lamar Jackson plays, but he's not agile or mobile and can't escape the pocket and things like that, that changes things quite a bit as well. So which one of those three scenarios, no Lamar Jackson, a completely healthy Lamar Jackson, or a Lamar Jackson that plays but isn't as mobile as usual, whichever one of those we get has the ability to completely reshape this game. So that's going to be the first thing to keep an eye on. Number two, it's been talked about all week. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail here, but Green Bay's number 32 ranked special teams in one of the worst special teams performances we've ever seen a week ago against the league's number one special teams unit in the Baltimore Ravens. Mason Crosby remains a question mark, while Justin Tucker is easily the best kicker ever. I think. I don't even think it's best kicker right now. I think it's best kicker ever. Devin Duvernay is a massive threat as a kick returner and a punt returner, right there with what Jakeem Grant did a week ago. Devin Duvernay has all those same skills and is even a better kick returner. And we saw Khalil Herbert last week for the Bears have some opportunities as a kick returner as well. Duvernay, if given the same opportunities, will have the ability to house some of those. So you have to watch him. Their coverage units are good. Their punter is very capable. Again, arguably the best in the league at pinning players inside the 20. It is a formidable special teams unit. Green Bay's not so much. So I guarantee you, John Harbaugh is thinking of ways that he can take his strengths and, really accentuate them. Whereas, looking at ways to minimize Green Bay's advantages, special teams is the biggest way that he can maximize his strength. If you can get this into a game where it's a bunch of punts and kind of back and forth, not high scoring, Baltimore has a real chance in this game. Baltimore wants this to be slow-paced, field position sort of game and have special teams play a real factor. Green Bay wants this to be more of a shootout, right? Aaron Rodgers versus maybe either an unhealthy Lamar Jackson or a Tyler Huntley. And if that's the case, Green Bay has a much better chance to win. So what type of game this is will have a huge factor in that as well. Number three, whether it's Lamar or Huntley, you still have to contain the quarterback. We saw Justin Fields last week escape on numerous different occasions. Most of it was in garbage time, so you didn't mind that much, but that's something that Green Bay is going to have to be much better at this week. Number four, covering for Kenny Clark. I've said it before. I will say it again. I will say it again now. I will say it again multiple times, probably even this season. This defense revolves around Kenny Clark, and he is a gigantic hole in this defense by not playing this week. Now, I fully expect, the Dean Lowrys, the Kingsley Kikis, the TJ Slaytons, and those guys to step up and play good football, Tyler Lancaster, etc. But there's no replacing Kenny Clark, and that could change things, right? Baltimore is going to want to run the football. It's going to start with some sort of power run game and then play action off of that and seeing if they can get Jackson going if he plays or Huntley going if he's the starter. But they're going to want to run and they're going to test the inside of that Packers defensive line. That makes things harder on Devondre Campbell and Chris Barnes because Clark's not in there. This is a defensive tackle who plays near 85, 90% of the snaps a lot of times. There are very few snaps without Kenny Clark. That's going to be a lot of snaps for Lancaster and Slayton, Lowry, Kiki, etc. They're going to have to step up big in Kenny Clark's absence. Don't try to be Kenny Clark, but try to play one of your better games of the season. If they can do that, Green Bay should have a good chance. Number five, it's time to get this run game going from an explosive standpoint, right? I think last week we saw some good, just overall play from Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. We're still lacking those explosive runs. And Baltimore's run defense is completely banged up. Likely no Calais Campbell. Brandon Williams is banged up. So this is an opportunity maybe, and I think they have some opportunities to get past a Patrick Queen who's been inconsistent. So I would love to see Green Bay get some of those explosive runs and get that aspect of their offense going. To me, it's really the last thing that hasn't come together yet. If they can start getting explosive runs on the ground, it completely changes this offense. So I would love to see that take place over this game against the Baltimore Ravens. Next is stay even keeled. And I think one of the big takeaways from last week's game against the Bears is even when they were down, even when the Bears were doing everything on special teams right and the Packers were doing everything on special teams wrong, there was no panic. Even when they were down 10, just no panic, right? They stayed even keeled. They knew they were going to be able to come back. They knew they could win that football game, and they did it in the end pretty easily. No panic whatsoever. Now, you're at home. You're against the Bears. That's a different story than on the road against the Ravens, right? But I think if you still take that even-keeled approach, don't get too high, don't get too low. Even if Baltimore's up by 10, keep doing what you're doing. I think Green Bay's going to have a great chance to win this game. Number 7 is the Ravens edge rushers versus the Packers pass protectors. Now, if you look at the opponents that Green Bay's faced all year, almost every opponent has had probably better edge rushers than the Ravens have right now. However, Justin Houston, Tyus Bowser, Odafe Owe, all have the ability to get to the quarterback and wreck the game if you give them the opportunity. And again, Dennis Kelly and Yosh Nijman, both backups, both going to have to step up big in the absence of Billy Turner and David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins. They're going to have to play and start and play the majority or all of this game, I should say. And it's going to be important that they win those matchups. And if Green Bay gets down and they need to throw themselves back in this game, those guys are going to have to hold up on the edges. So that is one area where I think Ravens do still have an advantage. I think Yosh and Kelly are more than capable of holding up, but they're going to have a good game against those 3 edge rushers. Number 8, they need to start getting better against explosive plays and explosive playmakers, right? Giving up some big touchdowns lately, whether it's Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson. This past week they gave up the Jakeem Grant touchdown and then the Damiere Byrd touchdown. They've given up some explosives, right? And this team has some players who can make explosive plays, whether it's Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman, Sammy Watkins. Those guys have the ability to take it the distance. So I'd love to see Green Bay shore up some of their explosive play defense, make sure that they're keeping everything in front of them, and make this Ravens offense go the length of the field, especially if Lamar Jackson is out. You don't want Marquise Brown just getting yards after the catch. Make Huntley complete passes and not make mistakes. Make him beat you, not their playmakers with the ball in their hands with their run after the catch ability. Number 9, keep showing me what Josiah DeGuara can do. I'm really intrigued with what he's put on tape these last 3 weeks. I want to open things up for him a little bit more. I think he can be a major X factor for the Packers the remainder of the season. I think him filling in for Robert Tonyan is a major storyline still the remainder of this year, and one of the pieces that's going to be most intriguing. He's got some run after the catch ability. He's been better at the point of attack. He'll still make some mistakes with where his routes need to go when he needs to cut them off. He's not a great blocker. He's a willing blocker, but I want to see what they can get with him. I think there's still some meat on that bone where they can go further, and his ceiling hasn't quite been reached yet. So keep upping that, and I want to see just exactly where they can get DeGuara by the end of this season. Number 10, stay hot, Preston Smith. You got all those bonuses tied to those sacks. Keep gathering them, keep stacking them up because you're playing fantastic and you can be a real difference maker in this game. So Preston Smith can stay hot. That is a huge, huge advantage for the Packers. Number 11, please, finally, just stay healthy. For the love of all things holy, they have not, even last week, right? Billy Turner had multiple receivers who may miss this game. Randall Cobb the game before. Like, they just can't get out of a game healthy. The playoffs are coming now, and you've only got 4 regular season weeks, 3 regular season games after this Ravens game. You don't have a ton of time to heal. If players go down, there's not much time between now and the playoffs. They got to find a way to stay healthy and get out of these games with their health. And then last but not least, in this game, Baltimore Ravens, AFC team on the road, team that knows how to win. I don't care about style points. I don't care if it's 12-10 and 30 seconds left and Mason Crosby hits a game-winning field goal, whatever it takes, and it's 13-12 or something like that. I don't care. I do not care. Get out of Baltimore with a win. Keep that number 1 seed. Style points are of no concern. It is a unscouted, opponent, or an unfamiliar opponent, I guess I should say, and a team that they are, it is just a very good football team, whether they're hurt or not, banged up or not. Baltimore, John Harbaugh is coach. This team knows how to win, and they're going to give Green Bay everything they can, regardless of who plays and who doesn't play in this game. So I'm not concerned at all. If Green Bay gets out with a win, I will be happy. I don't care what how ugly it was. I don't care if you need to burn the tape. Just get out of there with a win. Keep that number 1 seed. That is by far and away the most important aspect of this game. I'm going to go Packers by 6 in this one. I'm going to say, 23-17 Packers in this one. So 23-17. I'm going to actually say it's 3 field goals by Justin Tucker and a touchdown and a 2-point conversion by the Raiders. And then 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals for the Packers. 23-17. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. I'll be right back here tomorrow to break everything down. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Enjoy the game, everyone. Go Pack Go. But until next time, and as always, I'll say it again because I have to, go Pack Go.